The Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show is sponsored by Accunet Mortgage, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 255368, and Accunet Realty Advisors, which is a separate company from but still affiliated with Accunet Mortgage.
Putting a roof over your head without the headache. Get answers to all of your home buying questions. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
And our Sunday best to you and a happy 4th of July weekend to you. Welcome to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show. I'm Steve Kettler, along with Accunet Mortgages and Accunet Realty Advisors President Brian Wickert, and also licensed mortgage consultant and millennial correspondent David Wickert. As always, if you have a question or comment, you can give us a call at 414-799-1620 or throughout the Midwest on the Accunet Mortgage toll-free talk line. That number is 1-800-877-1620. Well, the fallout from Brexit sure seems to be paying dividends in the mortgage rate department.
Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, stock market has snapped back.
Absolutely.
Right? It's all good. All things are great here. That just means we should be worried. Because because it can't be this good. Well, I offered somebody a 3.25 interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate.
Wow.
Yeah, with no points.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
All good things.
All good things. I mean, that was a big loan amount.
Well, rates around the world, people getting nervous, people trying to put money into safer places, driving down yields across the globe.
All right, so here's your rate roundup of how much does it, what are the interest rates to lend money to governments around the world?
Okay.
United States of America, how big is that economy, Dave?
17.9 trillion.
Biggest economy in the world.
Yes.
By the way, the worldwide economy, Steve, is 73 trillion.
A cool 73 trillion.
Just in case you were wondering, the research department revealed that this morning, according to the International Monetary Fund. So 73 trillion. By the way, $1 trillion is a million. So if you get a million millionaires in a room, you got $1 trillion.
Boom.
Boom. All right. So United States of America can borrow money at 1.44% as of the close of the week.
Yes.
Number 2 economy, Dave?
China
at
10.9 trillion.
Let's call
which
it
might
11.
be a little light, but a reported 10.9 trillion.
So check this out. Mathematically, and this is we don't make these numbers up, folks. China, twice the interest rate, 2.88%. So regarded as riskier for some reason. Number 3, Japan, the third largest economy, weighing in at how many trillion?
4.1 trillion.
So roughly a fourth the size of the United States economy. Well, you have to pay the government of Japan money
in order
to lend them money.
They have a negative interest rate?
Negative interest rate, minus 0.27%.
Yikes.
In fourth place on the worldwide...
Germany at 3.3 trillion.
Yep, and a negative 0.13% interest rate.
Okay.
And now the source of all of our good fortune or problems, however you want to look at it.
The United, or maybe not so United Kingdom at 2.8 trillion economy.
And there you can lend them money and get an interest rate of 0.86%.
Okay.
France is in number 6.
I don't get this. Their economy is 2.4 trillion.
So about a fifth of our size.
Yes.
And they can borrow money at 0.15%. Rounding out.
I don't get that. But
I don't get it either.
Okay.
And I'll just blaze through the rest of them. India is the 7th largest economy. There, you know what, Steve? If you're looking for an investment, convert your dollars to rupees and invest in India 10-year government bonds where you'll get a yield of 7.42%.
Just hold on to the nauseous currency swings, but hey, you can get a nice yield.
Exactly. Get a great yield. Italy, 1.23%. If you're on your way to the Olympics, Brazil will pay you 12%.
Oh, man.
And in 10th place, if you go up north of the border and convert your dollars to loonies, you can get a 1.05% yield if you lend the Canadian government money for 10 years. All right, so there you go. So in America, here's what you can do on a 30-year fixed rate at low overhead Accunet as of the close of the week. I'm going to work really hard to see if we can convert this 3%. Now, you heard me correctly. 3% on a 30-year fixed rate is available if on a $400,000 30-year fixed rate loan, if you have 40% equity. That's how you really, really get the best stuff. The APR is 3.125 because you have to pay us 1.5 points to get that super trophy rate. And I'm going to see on Monday if we can make that 3% into a 2.99, or actually on Tuesday. The rate with a half a point, 1% is a point is 1% of the loan balance is 3.125. I've never said these before in my life, ever.
Out loud.
And 3.25 then for no points.
So all that to say, we are looking for some recent college grads over at the Accunet. So if parents, you got any young 20-somethings who'd like to hop into the mortgage world, we're hiring. Rates are low. We are busy.
Yeah, we need smart, young. No, we'll take old people too.
Okay,
They can be recent
college
people. Graduates. Yeah, even if you're 90, come on over. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about a little flash report here because things are changing in terms of the supply and demand curve in real estate in southeastern Wisconsin when we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Home buying advice from the guys who know it best. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Yeah, it's Casey Musgraves, who's opening up for Tim McGraw at the Marcus Amphitheater tonight at 7:30, part of your Summerfest festivities. Speaking of that, she's an up-and-coming country singer from right here in the Badger State, and you can hear her perform at the big gig. Singer Nora Collins joins Wisconsin's Afternoon News live from Summerfest. That'll be at 4:50 on Tuesday afternoon. We are back with Brian and David Wickert on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show here on 620 WTMJ.
So here's something interesting. I had a real estate agent. We tried to do as many closings as possible at Accunet World headquarters in Low Overhead, Butler, Wisconsin, so I can say hello to everybody and thanks for their business. Mm-hmm. So I always ask the real estate agent, so what's the market like out there? And this veteran real estate agent said, you know what? More listings and fewer buyers. And I went, what?
What?
Yeah, because that has not been the trend so far this year. And so this morning I just ran the numbers for the number of listings taken in June, which you got to believe is an up-to-date number. And we're right on top of last year. 2,583 homes were listed in the 5-county Milwaukee metropolitan area.
Okay.
Single-family detached homes.
Okay.
That is only 13 fewer. So I'm calling that a tie.
That's even.
Yeah. Now, I think it's too soon to tally up the numbers for sales in June.
If only because that was Thursday?
Thursday, right.
Okay.
So maybe not everybody's gotten their numbers into the computer, so I'm not even going to say a number this morning. But that's kind of nice. So I think David was kind of talking to me about this for our radio ad themes, like, Dad, maybe you got to get out there and say, hey, if you've been discouraged because you think there's not enough inventory, hey, there's 2,600 more homes just got listed.
Well, because I think what's going to happen is people are going to see that their neighbors are selling their homes this summer, getting multiple offers, and at a reasonable price. So maybe people who this spring didn't think, honey, maybe we won't sell this summer, maybe next summer. Maybe they're going to change their mind here in July, August, and September and say, gosh, there are a lot of people looking for homes. Honey, maybe we should get our home on the market here before the snow flies.
Well, and we have, let's see, my son-in-law, your brother-in-law's brother, is a case in point that they were going to wait 2 years to move and buy their next home, but they were over here a couple weekends ago, and I said, man, you got to do it now.
Because people are looking.
People are looking, and rates are low. Seriously, this is the time.
Well, and so I think that goes to the theme that we've started talking about is buyers have to get ready for this second wave of listings.
Midsummer wave.
Well, exactly, but you still have to be rock solid because you don't. It's not to say that suddenly no one else is going to be bidding on the home that you are looking at because good homes go quick.
They do.
And whether that's true in May or in September, you still have to be I always say the most attractive version of yourself.
That's right.
When you go out to try to buy this second wave of listings here on the second half of
new
summer.
inventory on the market, Steve. That's kind of the message we want to get out there. Did I mention that we need to hire some people? Okay, so college graduates, if you're out there looking for a job, please call me. My phone number is right on the homepage at Accunet.com.
That's true.
And this is a message, please. real estate agents, we're lucky to have a lot of real estate agents listen to our show. The mortgage highway is rush hour in Delhi.
Yes.
As in India.
Yes.
It's clogged. Pick your city,
Super
Beijing,
clogged.
super. And, of course we're giving priority to purchases, but you can't go writing like a 3-week, financing contingency.
Yeah.
We're saying you got to do 30, 35 days. Please at least give us 45 days to close. Because appraisers are busy, everything is...
Not because we want to take that long, but because that's just the state of the world.
State of the world. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about words. We're all about words here at Accunet Mortgage, and David and I are all about words.
Language matters.
Language matters. We're going to talk about language mattering in purchase contracts when we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Getting you into the home of your dreams. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
There you go, the Bodines doing their thing at the BMO Harris Pavilion at 9:45 tonight at Summerfest. The Brewers wrap up their series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis later this afternoon. Our game day coverage of Brewers and Cardinals gets underway at 12:40, sponsored by Schneider. Right here on WTMJ. Brian Wickert, David Wickert with us as we share with you from the front lines of real estate, language matters when it comes to your offer to purchase.
Absolutely. So I think that's true for at least two reasons why language matters. The first, and maybe the most important for a purchase contract, we're talking about a legal exchange of goods. So you want to, in clear, excruciating detail, for example, outline which party, either the buyer or the seller, gets to fix what and when and how and by whom. So that's one.
If there's anything discovered on the home inspection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think what I've come across this week is the second reason is that certain things can and cannot be in a contract in order for mortgage underwriting to say yes.
And let's just say this. We can't believe that there are agents who still put this stuff in there. Dave, over to you.
Yeah, so from the front lines of mortgages, I've got some quick examples. So I had a purchase come across my desk with the following language, quote, seller to include 2 bedroom sets and dressers with the exclusion of mirrored dresser in the master bedroom, love seat and recliners, kitchen table and chairs and snowblower.
Bad.
End quote. And a different contract with this language, quote, items included ladder, lawn rakes, step stool, bench, 2 lawnmowers, 2 table screens, hedger, broom, area rugs, and garbage can, end quote. So I'm sorry, but
hey, details matter, Dave. Details matter. You just
details
said.
matter. The broom. Don't forget the broom. Okay, but those items are the classic definition of chattel.
Chattel?
And what is chattel, you ask? That is the stuff in a house that is not affixed to the house itself. It's basically personal property.
That's right. And we don't finance personal property. Wait, unless it's a refrigerator,
there you go,
stove, washer, dryer, microwave.
Right. So
which is crazy.
Maybe if it's above 100 pounds.
Maybe that.
Yes.
But that's just stupid mortgage lender stuff. But just understand, we're all about the rules.
Yes.
We're all about the words and the rules.
Well, and I'm always surprised when we get pushback from actual attorneys about removing this stuff. I remember you had a lawyer get real frustrated that, I do this all the time.
Yeah, really?
But
on a cash offer, you can do that. Just by the way, let the record show.
Sure. Well, you're not financing.
Exactly.
Yeah. But so I guess hear us clearly. Do not include extra stuff. Keep it clean. You can always do a bill of sale in parallel to the purchase, outlining those items and decide how much those items are worth. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $1, maybe $0, but it cannot be in the language of the contract. So going down this path a little bit more, had another accepted offer come across this week for someone who's buying a house from a relocation company. And so, relo, that's the term we use in the mortgage world. There's a little bit more. They add riders to the contract language. And so because we do that kind of diligence at Accunet, I cracked open the 30-page rider to see if they had any interesting language. And wouldn't you know, I found a red flag. On page 22 of the contract rider is a segment talking about giving a notice on defects. Obviously, one option is fix it. The other option is terminate the contract. But option number 3 under Part 16B states, seller shall provide a credit to buyer at closing in an amount agreed to by both parties in lieu of treating the condition or defect or making the repair.
Not going to work if it's a big number.
Correct. And I think the important thing is that for a relocation company, they move people every day, but that doesn't mean that they're experts about mortgage financing. So if you have a defect, and let's say it's a bad roof, and you bring it to the attention of Accunet
or any mortgage lender on the planet
with an amendment saying, we're going to set aside $8,000 to fix the roof, afterwards.
Not going to happen.
You get to fix it before you close. And I think, it's because we know the collateral for the debt, the house for the mortgage is not 100% in good shape. I said with all the NBA free agent signings, that's why they make athletes do a physical after they get traded, because they want to make sure that the asset is in good working order.
That's right. So we got to make sure as lenders, we want to know that the collateral for our loan doesn't have defects. And if you call that to our attention, folks, if you write an amendment that says seller is giving the buyer a $3,000 credit because of the bad roof, you do not proceed. You're going to have to fix that, and we can't unring that bell once you shove that under our nose.
True.
You can just say, seller is going to give the buyer a $3,000 credit for closing costs, period, end of story.
Yeah.
That's
good stuff. From the front lines. Languages from the front lines. So when we come back from the news, I want to hear your story about condominiums from the end of this week.
Yes.
So.
Latin for tricky to finance.
Yes.
That's what condominium means.
When we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ. It's now 10:30 as we welcome in from the WTMJ 24-hour newsroom, Stephanie Graham.
Thanks, Steve.
Find a place to call home without the headache. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Bruce Hornsby and the Noisemakers. They're playing tonight at the Uline Warehouse stage at 10 o'clock at Summerfest. We're in the midst of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show here on 620 WTMJ. With us, Brian Wickert and David Wickert. And Brian, with a story and advice when it comes to financing condominiums or trying to purchase a condominium.
Yep, and this is born out of a mistake that Accunet Mortgage made. And so, the good news is, if we make a mistake, I'm the chief fix-it officer. So you get my undivided attention. And we really don't like making mistakes, but this one happens. And here's the story. Condominium is actually Latin for joint rule or sovereignty, by the way.
So that would make the European Union a condominium.
Exactly.
Okay.
The ultimate condominium.
Yikes. Go from there.
Okay. All right. So this situation was this particular project is side-by-side condominiums, right? So 2 units per building.
Okay.
And the original project that started in 2006 was 26 units. Take notes now because there will be a quiz at the end.
Okay.
The original developer went belly up, as in bankrupt,
Yep.
in the financial crisis. And then a new developer builder took it over and said, hey, you know what, we're going to build another 8 units. So that brings the total to 34. Again, these numbers are important. As of Friday, there are 2 of the 34 units that are just basements. Okay. And another 2 that are dirt.
Got it.
We call that in the ground.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then there's one that's already built that's not sold. So you got 5 unsold units out of the 34. And that means on a percentage basis, you got 85% of the units are sold and 88% are built. So the question is, can a lender do a 30-year fixed-rate loan on a unit in this project? And we had said for quite a few weeks, months actually, while this deal was in process, sure, we can do a 30-year fixed-rate loan. And the answer is no, you can't, because the rule is, in order to sell a 30-year fixed-rate loan to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, 100% of the units have to be, quote, substantially complete, and 90% of the 100% have to be sold and conveyed to the owners. David?
Question, what does substantially complete mean?
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. It means, according to the Bible of Fannie Mae,
the Fannie Mae rule book.
Yep, all the units and buildings in the legal phase in which the unit securing the mortgage is located are complete. And that means subject to the installation of the buyer's selected items. So what we interpret that to mean in the mortgage world is it's got to be drywalled.
Okay.
Got to have a roof on, got to have windows, got to have doors, got to have drywall.
Okay.
Don't need carpet, don't need cabinets, because that could be a seller item.
Okay.
So this was a hot mess.
Okay.
This past week, and the way we're saving the deal is we have access to portfolio money. That means money that's not going to get sold to
different rule book.
Okay. And this is going to be an adjustable rate mortgage, but the buyers are fine with that.
Okay.
If
only because it'll be complete at some point
in the next 3 to 6 months. The
but
builder
just not
told us,
today.
just not today.
Okay.
That's right. So we're going to give them an adjustable rate mortgage, for the better part of a half year, maybe here.
Yep.
And we're closing on Wednesday. So we're pulling that, rabbit out of our hat.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, we have different flavors of money. But that's a real tough one. New construction condos are hard to finance.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And you probably cannot get 30-year fixed rate financing because remember, 30-year fixed rate equals I'm selling it to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Banks just don't keep 30-year fixed rate loans in their bank vault.
Correct.
They can't stand the interest rate risk. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about
how to be a good participant in your homeowners association with your condominium, and then we've got a interesting dilemma on someone who should I invest X amount of dollars into my house to sell it for a little bit more, or should I just try to get out of it now? And maybe measuring each of our, Steve, your risk for going at it, Dad, your risk for, trying this idea for investing in your home before you go to sell it when we come back from this break.
Sounds good. You're listening to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Helping you find a place to call home. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Tim McGraw, who will be appearing tonight at the Marcus Amphitheater stage at 7:30 at Summerfest. With the NBA's free agency period now underway, will the Bucks make a splash for a second straight summer? Justin Garcia has some thoughts on that starting at 12:07 this afternoon during Wisconsin Sports Weekend. We are visiting with Brian Wickert and David Wickert on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show. Now we move to how to be a good HOA member, a homeowners association member.
Absolutely. We've got a great blog post on our site, Living in Harmony with Your Homeowners Association, because when you buy a condominium, you are joining a family. Because it's not just you in this structure. There are other folks who own that property and trying to figure out how to do the dance with some shared
sovereignty, I think we call it. Joint sovereignty.
Absolutely. So, condominiums, I think, are popular perhaps in the minds of millennials, but let's just talk about maybe some of the politics of when you join a homeowners association. So thing number one is familiarize yourself. You got to know what the rule book is for your individual homeowners association, and that can be, different things like.
Can you have a cat?
Exactly.
How big a dog?
Those just peculiarities of each individual homeowners association.
Can I rent my unit?
Exactly.
How long? Because that's a big deal. Renting your unit.
In the world of Airbnb, absolutely.
Oh, that's a whole new thing. Yeah,
yes.
I didn't even think about that. But a lot of condo associations say, well, yeah, you can rent your unit, but your minimum rental period, 6 months.
Okay.
That's a popular one. Because if you're an owner in a condo, you don't want to have rentals. Why?
Yeah, you want other owners.
Exactly. Right, because if you have renters, then they kind of trash the place and, put beer in the pool and all that kind of stuff.
All that good stuff. All right, so that was thing number one. Familiarize yourself. Get
all the called, Dave?
Info. What's that?
What's the rule book called? Bylaws. You got to read the bylaws of your condo association.
The bylaws of the association. Okay, so thing number two, read the recent meeting minutes. Good homeowners association boards meet, and they have conversations about the association.
Oh, like if they say, hey, we're really worried about this $9 million renovation that we have to do. You remember that one from earlier this year?
In Chicago, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. We got to do the roof and we got to do the fascia that's falling off.
I wonder what that'll cost.
Yeah, $9 million.
A cool $9 million. So you can get the pulse of what's going on, in the association or what is coming up.
Read the minutes. Do you think maybe it would be good to do that before you made an offer?
I think it'd be good for both buyers and real estate agents.
Yeah.
To get familiar with what's coming down the pike.
Cooking.
Exactly. And so then thing number three is know the association's budget, because similar to, hey, I think we're going to have to put $9 million into this place. Well, where's that money coming from? Mm-hmm. Have we set money aside from the monthly dues? Are we going to have to take out a loan? Are we going to do a special assessment?
Yeah, the special assessment's bad because they stick out their hand. The association says, "Hey, everybody, fork over $10,000 right now."
Right.
Because we have an emergency.
I hope you have $10,000.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that has literally caused some associations to fail. And that was the case. You remember? It's coming back to me now like it was yesterday on the $9 million fix. It was, we're going to borrow a third. We've got a third in reserves, and we're going to do a special assessment for the other third.
Yes.
Like, no, you don't. You don't have that money in reserves.
Correct.
They couldn't even do their own math. Bad.
Very true.
Okay.
So that's how to stay in harmony with your homeowners association. So
do your homework.
Absolutely. So I want you to lay out the numbers for this scenario. Then we're going to take our break because I want Steve to noodle on.
Okay. So here we go.
What he would do in this situation.
What would you do? This is the situation. you own a house. You've been renting it out in 3 hours from your house. You've been renting it out. It's been great, but now the people have moved out and the place is trashed. You owe $80,000 on your mortgage. The realtors come through, and actually you got an offer from the neighbor, said, I'll give you $70,000 in as-is condition, because this place is not in good shape. Okay, it has a good roof. Sure. So do you eat the $10,000 loss?
And just be done with it.
And be done with it. But then your real estate agent comes through and says, if you stick another $10,000 into it, so now you're at 80. Plus another $10,000, you'd be at 90. You can get 120.
Yeah.
Do you take the risk? We'll noodle through that when we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show on 620 WTMJ.
Expert advice on buying a home. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
That's Kane Brown, who will be performing 10 o'clock tonight on the U.S. Cellular Connection stage at Summerfest. Brian Wickert is with us. David Wickert is with us. And what's the situation here again?
Okay, the situation is pretend you own a house that you've been renting for the last 5 years in a remote area. Not a remote area. It's in Stevens Point, and the people live in Green Bay. Okay, so the owners live in Green Bay. The property's in Stevens Point. They've been renting it out. The renters move out, and the place is in not good shape. It needs $10,000 of work. You owe $80,000 on it. Your next-door neighbor offers you $70,000, and by the way, the real estate agent says in its current condition it's probably really only worth $65,000. Mm-hmm. So do you take your lumps and eat the $10,000 loss? Oh, because the real estate agent also tells you, but if you put in $10,000 for just simple stuff, paint, carpet, vinyl, maybe some new cabinets in the kitchen, you can now have $90,000 into it, $80,000 on your loan plus the $10,000 of fixes, and you can get $120,000.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do, Steve? Over to you first.
Okay, so and the comps are coming in around $120,000?
Let's pretend they are.
Okay. In this market at $120,000, so
minus your commission 6% or $7,200. Okay. If you sell it, I did the math for them. If they sell it for $115,000 or even $110,000, they come out $10,000 ahead. So do you take a $10,000 loss, or do you gamble $10,000? And then you'll actually that's $20,000 swing. You can go from a $10,000 loss to a $10,000 gain.
Yeah.
What do you do, Steve? Gun to your head.
Selling it at $115,000. I'm gonna take the gamble. I'm gonna put more money into it and try to sell it.
Dave?
I don't know. I would do the same thing that Steve would do, but I would be nervous the whole time.
Well, okay. So and the other big question is, do you have the $10,000? Right, because if you don't have the $10,000, and you're probably not going to be able to borrow on that house if it's in crummy shape.
Yeah.
Plus, you're about to sell it. So, what I recommended, this is a relative of ours, one of my nieces. I said, I'll lend you the $10,000 personally, not through Accunet. Just here's a family loan.
Okay.
Fix it up, but I said before you do that, get a home inspection. Mm-hmm. Okay, to see what other problems are there that maybe you don't know about.
If the roof is bad, too, your $10,000 investment might cost you.
Good news, it's a metal roof.
Oh, bam.
There you go.
Okay.
And then the other thing was, get another real estate agent out there to give you a second opinion.
To make sure that the first one wasn't making up.
Right. So to your point, Steve, let's bolster our confidence level that this thing can really sell.
Sure. I want to know the comps, yeah.
Yep. show me the guy. But I mean, that's a really affordable price range. I didn't.
Yeah, it
run
sure
the
is.
payment on that, but
$120,000. My goodness.
Yeah.
That's a big swing.
And you know what? But if you don't have the money, you can't do that, which would be a shame. And then there would be a short sale.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. So anyway, that one looks like it's going to have a happy ending. Did I mention that the mortgage highway is really busy with these crazy little rates at like around 3.375 and 3.5 or 3.25, depending on what your profiles are. So that means, hey, it's a good time to refinance. It's going to take longer.
Yes, patience required.
Than normal because, mortgage lenders can't just, and this isn't just Accunet, I don't care what bank you're dealing with, we can't just snap our fingers and have trained-up professionals ready to do their job for a surge in volume like this. And so, did I mention we are looking to hire some college graduates? Steve, you know anybody looking for a job?
Come on. Rhetorically. Well, and I think the interesting thing this week, coming back from the Brexit reaction on Friday, the Mark Carney, the governor of the Bank of England, who's a Canadian, so let that sink in for a second, that the guy who runs England's bank is Canadian.
The Janet Yellen of England is Canadian. Okay.
Yes, but he came out and said, hey, we will, do everything that we need to do to, stimulate the British economy to make it a smooth transition out of the European Union. And I'm pretty sure that, folks in the European Central Bank have said the same thing. So it's not as though the highway is going to get less clogged.
Correct. Yeah, we don't expect a spike in rates. Now, this coming Friday, we get the monthly jobs report, which is almost irrelevant. Because I don't see the Federal Reserve here in the United States raising interest rates.
They might posture, to keep the door open at least, but ultimately, probably not.
Okay, I think it's all hands on the Brexit deck there. Anyway, and so then if you're writing an offer, real estate agents, listen real close, don't push it. No 21-day financing contingencies. Well, you know what? Here's what we can do. 30 days. I'm going to say 30. If you're rock solid pre-approved,
yes, we
could probably actually do 21. But let's not push our luck. Because, again, there are things out of our control, like appraisals.
Well, and you had said this, I think, last week on the air. It's that balance for the inspection contingency. You want to make sure that the roof's not falling off the place, and then to wait until that's clear before you order the appraisal, hey, we just spent 14 days of our 30-day financing contingency making sure that this place isn't going to fall apart on us.
Right.
Hey, we kind of really only have a 16-day financing contingency at that point.
So really, that's a really good point, David. You got to be willing to spend the money for both your appraisal and your home inspection kind of at the same time, sorry to say.
Yeah.
Well, because we can't really wait around. Now, you know what? One other interesting fact, I took a loan for our former pastors at our church who are now living in Minnesota, and I've noticed this in both Minnesota and Illinois. 5 days is all they give for a home inspection.
Wow.
That's crazy. They must have a lot of home inspectors because that is really fast.
With no follow-up? Because, okay, you can do the inspection in 5 days, but then, what if I wanted a private consultation on the basement?
Well,
then you got to negotiate that?
Sure. Yeah, I think they got to negotiate that separately. So, and then it's like a built-in 2-day. I think it automatically says, okay, then within 2 days you can object, and then the other party has 2 days. So it ends up to be a 9-day inspection contingency.
Oh man. Okay.
Anyway, the
deadlines are tight.
Deadlines are tight. Don't waste
and
your time.
as I say on the phone most every day, you would rather have more time than not enough time because we can always close sooner.
All contracts say on or before.
Yes, exactly.
You can close early, and then the other thing that pays to say out loud, especially for first-time home buyers, when you get an accepted offer, tell your lender.
Yes.
I've had that happen. We're like, well, yeah, we got that 2 weeks ago or, 10 days ago. We're
really
just waiting for the inspection. All right.
You're really under the gun.
That's all we have time for. We'll meet you back here, Steve, next week for another edition of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show.
Excellent. Brian Wickert, David Wickert, thanks for your time this morning. We'll check in with Stephanie Graham in the WTMJ 24-hour newsroom straight ahead here.
The preceding was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show are solely that of the hosts or guests of Accunet Mortgage and Accunet Realty Advisors and not WTMJ Radio or Scripps Media Incorporated.